Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this week we have 12 incredible watches for you guys and girls. Yes, I know I said I'm going to try and always aim for 10, and that is the plan, but sometimes, like recently, I have got a lot of watches in, so increasing it to 12 just helps me to get through them and get them on the website, so that way I haven't got a 4-week backlog, which at the moment is how it's looking. So I'm going to work my way through them, but there's some absolutely incredible pieces ranging from Rolex to Omega to vintage Heuer to something more affordable with the likes of a Bell or Autodromo and everything in between, with some very interesting brands like Habring and Ordain. So there really is something for everyone. Now, as always, if you want to skip all my rambling and talking that I do at the start of these videos, down in the description there is every watch in this video listed. You'll see a timestamp so you can skip to that specific part, and also a link to the website where you can view all the details, see the photos, see the descriptions, because obviously this is just a brief snippet looking at the watch under the camera and also showing it on wrist. So you can see all that. Obviously, if it has sold, it will say sold, and if the price is there and it's available, then it's available. Now, before we start taking a look at what is on the table, let's start with what's on wrist. I'm wearing one of my personal watches. This watch is not for sale. This is my beautiful 50s Movado Gentleman, as it's called, which is 18 karat pink gold with a hand finished 18 karat pink gold dial. So that's a solid gold dial as well. It has a bumper automatic movement, and it's just one of those watches that I've always loved, always admired. But the right one never came up, especially at the right price. And obviously, as we've seen, the markets have changed. And about, I would say, 4 months ago, maybe longer now, is when I picked this up. So the market had shifted, one came up at a good price, and I had to buy it and add it to my collection. So I'm preaching what I say. I'm adding some great stuff to my personal collection. This is one of a few that have been added sort of this year so far. Maybe a couple more, we'll see how things go, but that's what's on wrist. So let's crack on with what you're here to see, and we're going to start with one that I had previously and I've taken back from the collector who has loved and enjoyed it, and I'm very happy that it came back to me. That is this gorgeous 1675 Rootbeer Mark III nipple dial. It doesn't get any better than this. Let's take a closer look. So starting this week off with this gorgeous Rolex GMT-Master Rootbeer, as it's nicknamed because of the coloration on the bezel right there with the dark brown and gold. Just absolutely beautiful, and this is an original bezel that is aged incredibly well. And what you're looking at right there is a original Mark III brown nipple dial. Now, for those of you that don't know, the reason it's called a nipple dial is because the indices have a metal surround with the lume in there, hence the name nipple. So there you go. It's probably going to get this video demonetized, but hey ho. So as I say, original Mark III, really nice deep brown, and it has this subtle texture to it which you can really appreciate under a loupe. The hands and dial are original tritium, and they are aged beautifully. Again, inspecting under a loupe, you can see the color is pretty much the same, whereas in the photography it looks slightly different just because of the gold around the lume on the indices. It just makes the sort of lume less prominent in the actual camera. It comes paired on its original folded link Rolex bracelet. As you can see, this is original folded link Jubilee with a signed folder over clasp, nice end links, and nice plain case back. As I say, this is the reference 1675, and it dates from circa 1973, so super early, part of the 4-digit reference. So inside is an automatic Rolex caliber 1575, which does not have quick set or independent changing GMT hand. It's coupled to the hour hand. Nice original gold signed crown right there as well, and really nice case. You know, it's not unpolished but by any means, but it isn't over polished, and you've still got some beautiful chamfers in there as well. It's as good of an example as you're probably going to find. Comes with a later Rolex box, no paperwork unfortunately. Obviously will come with our warranty and our Kibble watch pouch and cleaning cloth, etc. So let's show this beautiful watch on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. There's something about an older reference GMT that just wears so perfect on the wrist. Whilst it's the same sort of dimensions as the modern, the beefier lugs just make them wear so much bigger, whereas this is really low and flat to the wrist and really comfortable. So this is 40mm by 47mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick and 20mm on the lugs with drilled lug holes to make strap changing nice and easy. A nice brown suede on this this is absolutely killer too. So go check this one out on the website today. From there, let's go over to a modern watch with one of my favorite of the modern Rolexes, to be honest, and that is this Rolex Yacht-Master. This is the 40mm rhodium dial, as it's called, and I absolutely love the color of this dial and the pop of baby blue. I think it works perfectly. Platinum bezel, really, really nice. Let's take a closer look. So as I said in the intro to this one, probably one of my favorite modern Rolexes, and this is the Yacht-Master. As you can see, with the rhodium dial and that baby blue second-hand in Yachtmaster in the same colour is just perfect. What you're looking at is a platinum bezel, and that's kind of one of the unique selling points of this model. You have a platinum rotating bezel which goes either way with multiple clicks, nice polished case, as you can see, and polished and brushed bracelet, oyster bracelet. And condition wise for this one, it isn't new, it isn't unworn, but it's as close as you're going to get without buying brand new or unworn, to be honest. The condition is absolutely fantastic. So this is the reference 126622, and inside is an automatic Rolex caliber 3235. As we open this up, you can see a nice plain case back, a couple of scratches on there where it's been stored lying flat. This is why I always say to people, don't lie your watches down like that. It can cause the scratches. You do have a 5mm easy adjust. Hopefully you guys can see that. It folds over and under, and anything you really see is probably going to be my fingerprints at this rate, because obviously the polished parts do pick up fingerprints very easily. This one's from June 2022 with its box and paperwork and swing tags, etc. So still under its manufacturer warranty, and a beautiful watch, as I said. I've always liked the Yacht-Master. I had one of the original ones back in the day as well. I owned it myself for a little while, which was really, really nice with the sort of platinum dial with the red. It worked beautifully, whereas this one I think is definitely a step up in terms of modernizing, but also it just looks the part, you know, a premium luxury Submariner, which was always the goal with it. But let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go, on my 7-inch wrist, incredibly comfortable. And again, the Yacht-Master with its slightly softer case I think is really nice in comparison to the modern Rolex Submariner, which obviously is a lot beefier and bolder. And again, it really works. These are very different watches, but I do think I prefer this. So what you're looking at is 40mm by 47mm lug to lug, 12mm thick and 20mm on the lugs. So you could totally swap it out, but to be honest, it looks the best in my opinion on this bracelet. So go check it out on the website today. From there over to a Rolex Datejust 41mm blue dial, and this is probably one of the most desirable 41mm Datejust. Yes, some of the Wimbledons are very popular, but I've noticed these have remained quite strong in comparison to how the Wimbledons have fluctuated. So blue dial, fluted bezel, so white gold, and Jubilee bracelet, the sort of perfect combo. Let's take a closer look at this one. Now onto the Rolex Datejust 41, and as I said in the intro, this is probably the most desirable Datejust like 41 configuration that you can get, with this beautiful electric blue dial which just looks so fantastic. White gold fluted bezel and paired on its Rolex Jubilee bracelet, which does have its clasp right here, and as we open it you have your 5mm adjust on the underside again, which is really nice and useful for getting that really great fit. So as I say, 41mm, so this is a reference 126334, and inside behind that case back is the automatic Rolex caliber 3235, and this one's from November 2019, again with its box and paperwork, and is in very good condition. It has been worn, but it's not been abused and it's not been polished, so you're getting yourself a very, very nice example, and one that you'll be very, very happy with. So the 41mm isn't for everyone. Obviously the larger case size, it does mean you have a lot of dial, but that's where this configuration has really worked in my opinion, because you get more of that blue and it does feel and look like a very modern Rolex, right? Like if we have the 36mm here, if we compare them side by side, there is quite a big difference there, right, in terms of size. And this is very apparently, very instantly recognizable as modern, whereas this is quite apparent it's old. And again, nothing wrong with either of those things, but it's just a nice distinction for the person wanting a very modern Rolex. This is probably one to consider. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. You can see it's on the larger side. It wears, as I say, like a very modern Rolex, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. 41mm by 47mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick and 21mm on the lug, so a little awkward, but to be honest, the Jubilee pairing with the fluted bezel and the blue really works. So go check this one out on the website today. And if the 41's too big for you in the Datejust, don't worry, I understand. And we have a 36mm right here, and this is a 1990 Rolex Datejust 16220 with the engine turn bezel, and this one is box and paperwork, so very nice. Let's take a closer look. And here we go. So as I said in the intro to this one, if the 41 is too big for you, maybe a bit too flash with the bright blue dial and the fluted bezel, this is one to consider. So this is a beautiful Rolex Datejust reference 16220. Part of the 5-digit reference, this features an engine turn, stainless steel engine turn bezel, so very similar to a fluted, but slightly different with a recess in between each flute, if you will, hence the name engine turn. It does come paired on its original Rolex Jubilee bracelet, which is very comfortable, obviously hollow end links and fold over stamped metal clasp. Just that's the period this is in, because this one is from June 1990. Now, beating away inside this is an automatic Rolex caliber 3135, and this one does come with its box and paperwork, which is really nice for those of you looking for that. What you're seeing here is a silver tritium dial with tritium hands. Very nice, very clean as well, super clean and crisp all around. Nice date over there is 3 o'clock as well, as you'd expect. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go on my 7-inch wrist. As always, you cannot go wrong with a Rolex Datejust, especially in 36mm, and this one has the added bonus of being box and paperwork. So if you are born in 1990, here's a great birth year option for you. I'm always getting asked for birth years, so what I always say is try not to focus on it too much. Like, don't just prioritize the year as your number one, but if you happen to find a nice example like this one and it happens to be your year, think yourself lucky and snap it up whilst you can. So this is 36mm by 43.5mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick and 20mm on the lugs, with drilled lug holes to make strap changing nice and easy. And again, it is one of those watches that looks great on the Jubilee or on a variety of different straps. So go check it out on the website today. Let's go over to Omega with one of the best Speedmasters you can get if you've got the money to stretch to this, that is, of course. This is the Trilogy Edition, limited edition Omega Speedmaster, to commemorate the original 1957 Speedmaster. So you've got the true to proportion size in terms of the case. It's a bit thicker than obviously the original, but a really beautiful thing nonetheless. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up is this gorgeous Omega Speedmaster. This is part of the Trilogy Edition that was released quite a while back, limited to 3,557 pieces, which sounds like an awful lot, and it is a lot, but not when you consider that is global production for Omega of a limited edition like this. If you search the reference, you'll see there's actually not a huge amount out there, so it goes to show whilst they did produce a lot, there isn't a huge amount in circulation. A lot of these have stayed in the same collection and will likely never leave it. So this is as true to form as you can sort of get for this reference, referencing the original 1957 with the broad arrow hands. A very beautiful looking watch, and the original incredibly hard to find, even if you have the money for one. They're incredibly difficult to get. I won't bore you with the reference, you can go see the full reference on the website, but as we open it up, you can see you've got this flat link 3-piece bracelet with a very nice vintage styled folding clasp, but you have the modern mod cons you'd expect with a push deployant, which allows for on-the-fly adjustment. Very nice to have. Simple polished case back. Again, you can see some scratches there where the bracelet has been lying down flat against it. I don't recommend doing that, but again, it's not the end of the world. Thankfully, you don't wear it case back up, so doesn't really matter. Not a huge amount. This one, inside there is a manually wound Omega caliber 1861. Very reliable movement that they've used for many years and only recently just taken out of production to replace with the 3861, which is a coaxial. This one's from June 2020, so a little bit after the release. So yeah, nice to have it a little bit newer. Again, doesn't really make a huge difference. Nice pump pushers, really beautiful design as you'd expect, and faux patina in there. That's either going to be something you like or don't. Acrylic crystal, so plastic, just like the original. So it will scratch and it can be polished, and we can polish it before sending it out to you if you so wish. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Now, as I forgot to mention, it is June 2020 with its box and paperwork and its extra pouch and straps and all the extra bits and bobs. So go check out the photo on the website of the box shot and you'll see everything it comes with. But 38.5mm by 48mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick and 19mm on the lugs. endless options, but you have the bracelet, a leather strap, and a NATO to choose from, all Omega, which is fantastic. So go check this one out on the website today. And again, another Speedmaster, but something very different to what we just looked at. This is the Speedmaster Reduced or Automatic, whatever you want to call it. It's the smaller size with an automatic movement, but this one is a silver triple date. A very interesting watch, especially at the price point, and this one's box and papers, and it's only a little bit over £2,000, which just blows my mind that you can get into this realm with this kind of complication at this price point. So let's take a closer look. Now on to a Speedmaster Reduced or Automatic, whatever you want to call it. These are the smaller 39mm case with an automatic movement instead of a manually wound movement that comes on the Professional. And I've always been amazed at the value of these watches. This is a reference 3523.30.00, and as you can see from the dial, that is a nice silver dial, and it has a lot of complication going on there. So that is a triple calendar, which can all be adjusted via the crowns or the pusher on the side of the case, which is nice and simple to use. You'll get the hang of it very quickly after a little play around. As always, try and only progress forward rather than backwards. It's just the best way to go with these watches, and you still have your chronograph, as you can see. Comes paired on its original bracelet, which has the open push button, which has the slide adjust to allow for bigger wrists, bigger hands basically, to get through very easily, and then you just line it back up and push it down like so, and it's back in. So nice and simple. Nice stainless steel signed case back, as you can see. And inside there is an automatic Omega caliber 1151. Now this one's from October 2005, and it does come with its box and paperwork, which is very nice as well. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Very, very comfortable, very good looking, and again, proportions are really great, especially if you have a slightly smaller wrist. I think sometimes these can wear better than the standard Speedmasters. So 39mm by 44mm lug to lug, 14mm on the thickness and 18mm on the lugs. Again, another one of those watches that looks great on a brown strap or a black strap, as well as the bracelet. So both options there, but go check it out on the website today. From there, let's go over to probably my surprise pick on the table, and the one that I think is really, really cool. That's this Ulysse Nardin. You hear that name and you probably don't think of very nice watches. I personally don't. Usually their watches definitely on for me, whereas this is a really interesting one. It's called the Seamarco GMT. I had this one before. Again, another one I was very happy to acquire back from the person I sold it to. Such a cool watch, and it's a GMT, but not quite how you'd expect. Sort of a jumping hour GMT, I guess you'd call it. Let's take a closer look. Now let's talk about quite a special Ulysse Nardin from the 90s. This is a very, very cool Seamarco GMT, as you can see. Now you might be looking at this going, well, where's the GMT hand? You've got your hours, your minutes, your seconds, and you've got two displays right here on the dial. One is your date at 3 o'clock with a reverse cyclops actually on the dial, which I always find really cool when you have that, because you get the benefits of the magnification without the cyclops on the top of the crystal. And then you have a display over here at 11 o'clock. Now, as we unscrew the crown, it's a nice cabochon blue signed crown, and we start progressing the time forward. As we get to 11, you'll see that go to 11 and 12 and 1 and so on. That is your GMT display disc, which is really, really cool, and a very unique way of having a GMT. What you can do is progress your hour hand via your local time via the pushers. So you can increase with the pusher down here and decrease with the pusher up here, allowing you to set your GMT how you wish, and then changing your local time as you wish as well. So let's say you have your GMT set and you land somewhere where it's an hour ahead. You'd push this button when you land, and boom, there you go, your time is now set. A very functional, very useful GMT tool, and it's really cool to see, again, from someone like Ulysse Nardin. Comes on its all polished bracelet with the little anchor symbol on either side, as you can see, and Ulysse Nardin anchor symbol on the fold open clasp. Nice signed case back, as you can see with Seamarco proudly stated on there. And beating away inside this is an automatic ETA 2892-82. And this one's from circa 1999 with its box and booklet. Really beautiful example and a very fun watch altogether. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go, on my 7-inch wrist, a very good looking watch, and I think someone's going to be very happy with this, especially at the price point. If I was in a different position myself financially right now, this is one I would probably consider keeping, because I just think it's so unique. And again, to have something like this from Elise Narden, even cooler. So 40mm by 47mm lug to lug, 12mm thick and 20mm on the lug, so you could totally swap it out for a black strap that's going to look good, but it's pretty fun on the bracelet as well. So go check it out today. From there over to a beautiful 50s Heuer chronograph. This is very attractive, 35mm steel, nice sign crown, screw back, nice pump pushers. It doesn't get a lot better than this, especially at the price point. So let's take a closer look. Now onto a really gorgeous vintage Heuer, as you can see right here from the 50s. You can see that nice original dial and nice blued hands, which just catch the light perfectly, and the lume on them is fantastic. Really beautifully aged and overall just incredibly nice. As I said in the intro to this one, this is a 35mm steel case, and I think it's definitely a highlight of the show along with that dial. You've got your original Heuer signed crown, which is really attractive and not something you see often. Nice original pump pushers as well. And a screw down case back, again something you really don't see often of this period and chronographs, so it would have been a bit more waterproof back in its day, which is quite interesting to see as well. You've got a reference there in between the case, which is quite nice to have, and it's a reference 68952. Being away inside is a manually wound Valjoux 23, which is quite an early movement. The balance is a Valjoux 230 balance, so the same movement but with a 0 on the end, which had a flyback function and a slightly later balance. It's not the end of the world, it's just one of those things we've got to state, and the watch does run really nicely, as you'd expect. Definitely in standards for a 1950s watch. Obviously keep that in mind with a chrono like this. It's not going to be Kosk chronometer level craziness. It's gonna, you're gonna expect a bit of deviance throughout the day, but not a huge amount. So really beautiful, really nice. We paired it on this nice brown strap, which I think complements it perfectly. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. There's something about a smaller chronograph that always just looks so good, especially these vintage ones with the pump pushers. That sort of contrast over to this side just works so nicely. So this is 35mm by 42mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 18.5mm on the lugs. Yes, you heard that right, 18.5mm. So you can squeeze on a 19mm or use an 18mm with a very small gap. Is whatever works best for you. I believe we have, let me double check. Yeah, we've squeezed on a 19mm Watch Gecko strap, and you can see it works perfectly, it fits nicely. There's just a little pinch on either side, but nothing major at all. So go check out this one on the website today. From there over to a Habring, and this is the classic Felix. It's sort of a simple, very elegant watch. I would almost compare it to the likes of the FP Journe Chronometre Blue, right? You know, that Chronometre, very simple, very elegant. This is Habring's version of that, and I would say beautiful inside as well. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, a Habring Squared Felix, a really beautiful, simple, elegant watch. I've had a few of these over the years. I've had quite a few Habrings over the years, and I've always been very impressed. A husband and wife setup out of Austria. And they're just producing such great watches. He used to work for Breitling and was actually quite influential in a movement that was manufactured there, and he brought all of his knowledge and technology over with him when starting Habring, and has been doing incredibly well ever since. And they're one of those smaller micro brands, or not micro brands, independents I should say, that are definitely getting the recognition they deserve, but still in my opinion have a long way to go in terms of the market and recognition. So this is the Felix, and this is actually number 4 based on the warranty, with the manually wound Habring caliber A11B, a very simple but very beautiful movement, as you can see, based architecturally on sort of like an ETA 7001 or a PESA, sort of that kind of thing, but massively adjusted and changed. As you can see, there's nothing there that screams really ETA other than the infrastructure. This one's December 2014, and it does come with its box and paperwork. And a nice thing about Habring is in the bottom they have a tray with a couple of parts, like a new crown, new hands, all these different bits, just in case they ever go out of business and you want to get your watch serviced. You've still got parts right there in your box, which I think is really nice, especially from a smaller brand like this, because you just never know what could happen to the brand as the time goes on. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, paired on its original Habring strap with its buckle. This is a non-signed buckle, but it is the original Habring buckle, and this is a black ostrich, which just looks gorgeous and works perfectly with the design. So what we're looking at dimensions-wise is 38.5mm by 46mm lug to lug, only 8mm thick, so incredibly thin on the wrist, and 20mm on the lugs. So endless options. Again, this is the sort of dial and design that works well with pretty much any strap you put on it, including even a mesh bracelet. That would look really great. So go check this one out on the website today. Now on to an Anordain. This is the Model 1 38mm with the plum dial, a very beautiful purple plum dial which has that gorgeous texture. This is Anordain to a T. If you're thinking of Anordain and the Scottish fume dial or enamel dial guys, this is probably what you're thinking of, something along these lines. So let's take a closer look. Next up is this gorgeous Anordain Model 1 with a plum fume enamel dial, as you can see. Really beautifully done. The texture on there is gorgeous, and in the center it's brighter than it is on the outside, creating this beautiful pattern and technique that the Scottish guys over there at Anordain have really nailed. They've done such a good job of it. This one's from July 2022, and it is the Automatic La Duperre G100. Apologies for absolutely butchering that. And you can see this one has a beautiful map right there as well. You get to choose what you want and basically do a bit of customization. Original Anordain sign crown right there, and a nice polished case. This has been worn, but it's not been overworn at all. It comes with a really nice black Anordain strap, and it also has an additional strap in the box as well. You can see that with the box shot. Anordain, they're doing great stuff, and I think if you're after something a bit different, this is a great option. Something to keep in mind is they have huge wait lists at the moment. I believe 2 to 3 years on almost every model, and their prices that they display on their website are not including UK VAT. So if you are buying in the UK and the price is $2,850, for example, it will be 20% on top of that price and the 2 to 3 year wait. So whilst these watches are quite close in the non-VAT prices, as in the second-hand market prices are closer than new prices, it's also not, right? Like, you've got to wait that amount of time and you've got to pay VAT on top. So these still work out quite a good deal, to be honest. So if this is the one you're after, here's your opportunity to get it. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. It's very subtle, really beautiful, and in certain lights it just pops so bright. That plum colour, it really is something quite special. So 38mm by 46mm lug to lug, only 11mm thick and 18mm on the lug, so endless options. As I say, it comes with 2 strap options from Anordain themselves, so go check it out on the website today. From there over to a brand that has really taken the collecting community by storm, and that is a Bell. And this is a very nice early 2000s classic wave quartz, 37mm, steel and gold. If you like the design, you like the look of the wave, which you can get with El Primero movements, you can get in full gold, they are incredible. This is a great way to get into it for just over £500 with box and booklets. I mean, you can't really go wrong with something like this. So let's take a closer look. Now onto a Bell with this gorgeous classic wave, a model and a design that I absolutely adore, and I think they've done such a good job with this model. And this older reference from the 2000s, late 2000s, sorry, is fantastic with this steel and gold design, nice, really crisp white dial, exploding gold Roman numerals and dates, and all with quartz movements. So the price point is very accessible. Bracelet, really nice, hidden clasp, as you can see, which opens up like so, and a nice curved case back with classic proudly stated right there. This is a reference 1255F41.1. As I say, quartz inside, circa late circa late 2000s, my apologies, and it comes with its box and paperwork, but it's unsigned paperwork, so it's got all of its booklets and everything. Really nice box as well, all of its spare links. Nice crown right there as well, which is really beautiful. The screws on the case, the gold bezel, all really nice. It is worn, but to be honest, there's barely any marks on it, to be honest. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. So if you're after that Bell design and style, but don't want to break the bank or don't want to have to go into solid gold or an El Primero, this is a great option for you. Especially considering the size as well. It's on the larger size at 37mm by 43mm lug to lug, only 7mm thick, so incredibly thin, and 20mm on the lugs. But go check out this gorgeous watch on the website today. And last but by no means least is this awesome Autodromo. This is part of the Prototipo, or Prototipo, I believe that's how you pronounce it, I'm probably butchering it. But it's part of that range of watches. This is a special limited edition for Brian Redman, a famous, or maybe not so famous if you haven't researched, but someone to look into, race car driver. And this one is all about his life, really. Very, very cool. Nice engraving on the case back as well. Let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, the Anordain Prototipo. Again, I'm probably absolutely butchering that. Chronograph for Brian Redman, a famous race car driver. And this is a very cool limited or special edition of 500 pieces total, so not a huge amount. And inside is a quartz Seiko caliber VK63, so you get that nice mecha quartz style where it looks like a mechanical chronograph, but it's quartz and it flies back like so. Nice crown and pushers, all very Autodromo in their design, and a really lovely case, very much of the 70s and 80s in design. And a nice signed case back as well, as you can see, proudly stating its reference to Brian Redman, as do the box and paperwork, and it's even signed on the inside as well, which is really cool. So this one's from about circa 2015. It does come with its box and paperwork, and it had a battery change very recently as well, so it's good to go and be enjoyed. Comes on its original strap, and to be honest, it just looks like it's hardly ever been worn. Worn a couple of times, as you can see by the creases in the strap, but overall nothing much at all. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go on my 7-inch wrist. Very racing car inspired in its design, its rally strap, really good looking piece. And again, at the price point, you can't go wrong. So 42mm by 48.5mm lug to lug, 11mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So go check out this one on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's drop, really ranging in price, brand, everything, and that is exactly what we want to achieve here at Kibble Watches. We've got some of the mainstream, we've got some of the oddballs, and some of the stuff you've probably never heard of or seen before, and that is exactly what we want to achieve here at Kibble Watches. And it's thanks to you guys and girls I've been able to achieve that pretty much every week. I think there's been a very long time since there's been a drop where it was just very uninspiring, because again, the options I'm getting offered to me by you collectors constantly is incredible, and I have such a range that I can choose from in terms of buying for stock or consigning or whatever the case may be. You know, with part exchanging, you name it, we try and facilitate where we can and work with you. Obviously not every deal can always go through, and I think a lot of you fully understand that, but again, I really do my best to make it work wherever I can. So if there is a watch on the table you see here that you really like the look of, maybe you got a watch you want to part exchange or something like that, don't hesitate to fill in the form on the website under the sell section. And as I say, we will try and do our best where we can. Obviously, we are a business, so if you paid a certain price for it and you're expecting that back and it's a certain model that's not doing very well, whatever it may be, just understand, you know, we are a business, we do have to make a profit, and that's just the nature of it. So thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you all again next week. Take care.